So much has changed. Some would say everything from the 2000s was locked away in a time capsule only to be dug up 20 years later! Yeah, Zoey 101 Time Capsule is not only a pretty unique episode as it doesn't have other ones like it in the teen atmosphere, but it also carries a very distinct message at the place and time we were when it was filmed and how we've changed since then. And if you know Johnny 2000, you know we love to dig into stuff like that. What's up everybody, it's Johnny 2000, focusing on 2000s content, TV, movies, media, and so much more. So today, let's dive in to Season 2, Episode 2 of Zoey 101, Time Capsule, one of the most notable episodes of the entire series. So the group is looking through an old yearbook in their video production class, and the book is from the 80s.
Looks like PCA used to be a school for geeks and losers.
But when the teacher says it's his personal yearbook, yep, the cynicism continues, and it starts with Lola. I like already how they learned this season to lean into more ensemble stuff. Like last season it was more about one or two characters, but they seem really good at balancing almost all of them to have a little plot in each episode.
Is this you with the big round freakish glasses?
You know what, those glasses were very fashionable back in the day.
And the interaction with the teacher and them mocking him feels actually really realistic to the 2000s. Like, you would definitely argue with your teacher. The teacher proves a point and says, like, if they looked back 20 years, they would definitely be surprised with what they were doing, and I completely agree.
What if we made a time capsule?
This is already like a really cool concept, the time capsule. Just knowing all of the shows following it, like Ned's Declassified, Victorious, Big Time Rush, like nobody really does a time capsule like episode again. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't really remember it super well. And it's like one of the most unique plots. So this ends up being a class project for some reason where everybody has to choose something from this current moment in time that represents who they are, put it in the time capsule, and look at it later. It's definitely a very wholesome plot until we get into what actually happens in it.
What are you doing anyway?
Trying to decide which picture myself to put in the time capsule. Nice.
Oh my god, he is some special kind of narcissist. The fact that he's even calling himself hot to these boys, like what the heck? But you know what? Because he's a teenager, I feel like it's totally more acceptable to have these character flaws as opposed to It's Always Sunny, who has characters that are in their middle ages not learning these lessons quite yet. At least the cynicism in this is justified by their immaturity. Gosh, the world of Instagram would have ruined Logan. I don't know what he would do if he had social media at this time. So Jason and Michael are writing a song, which kind of sounds cool, but really makes him look a lot more like Robbie Shapiro again. Like, imagine Chase singing Broken Glass. Logan once again rubs it into Chase's face that he has a crush on Zoey, which was kind of a trend that started in the first season where he started knowing about it, and he's really not a good friend. Like, he is no positive influence over Chase's life.
So I guess it goes like, I love you, Zoey, from my head down to my toey.
I remember thinking this was really funny as a kid, and I must have been like 8 years old because that is not even a joke. So Zoey ends up making a video to put in the time capsule, which gives me a lot of self-tape audition vibes, especially with the janitor asking to be in it. Like, oh my gosh.
What are you, making a tape?
Uh-huh.
You want me to be in it?
No, not really.
It is funny, though, to see another weird adult character. It seems like PCA is filled with them a lot more, as opposed to iCarly, which has some central characters having the weird jokes, like Psychowitz or Luber, but in this show, it seems to be random people a lot. Zoey doing this also reminds me of filming before TikTok was a thing. Like, I used to get kicked out of everywhere for putting a camera down and recording myself. I don't know why you just get away with it now.
If you're watching this, it's probably 20 years from now. I hope you guys still have DVD players in the future, because if not, then I'm talking to no one.
I wish they did, Zoey. I wish they did. I mean, they kind of do. They still make DVDs, but they're nothing what they used to be. Lola and Nicole keep the dynamic of Dana and Nicole from the earlier season, but Lola is a lot more dismissive and kind of a diva instead of just being downright mean like Dana was, which automatically makes her more interesting and a more positive character. Although I cannot get over how close it is to Tori Vega. Lola is such a Tori Vega character, but with goals and ambitions. I don't know how we can't acknowledge that this is just such a more in-depth character and was just thrown away for a ditzy, whiny teenager in the new show. I'm not gonna get into Zoey 102 yet, but that should have happened. The whole B-plot is Quinn keeps snoring super loud, which, okay.
You gotta quit snoring!
Hey, will you guys quit banging on the wall? I'm trying to sleep.
Quinn has a webcam somehow set up in the girls' room, and I know this happened in the first episode, but I just can't get over it. Then we get a little moment with Chase and Zoey talking about what they were trying to put in the time capsule. They definitely have this new flirty vibe.
So, do I get to hear the song before you guys put it in the time capsule?
I don't know. What's it worth to you?
About 15 grapes?
Deal.
And Chase is a lot more direct than he was last season, and I can really tell now.
I'm not telling you what I said.
Oh, I think you are.
Sorry, gotta go to class.
Oh, come on, tell me what you said about me.
Like, he is so openly bothered by how vague Zoey is being, and I feel like it reminds me of when he was fishing for her answers for the dance episode. Like, he's just fishing for information about what she feels about him here. And it's a little too obvious. I don't know how Zoey doesn't pick up on this. When Zoey says he'll find out in 20 years, he is so bothered by it. Like, social media has given us insight on everybody's innermost thoughts, and you could kind of post like, oh, I might be thinking about somebody today. Back then, they didn't have the information about each other readily available like they do on social media, so people had more of a reason to get to know each other, figure each other out, learn about what other people are thinking. But now social media just turns it into a free forum for everybody to just put their thoughts, and it's harder to get to know people when there's not a lot of new interesting information to them, which is interesting because obviously they're living in a dorm, they get to know each other organically, they don't have cell phones as prominently to get to know each other, so they can't rely on texting or social media posts. This is a really interesting reflection, especially with the episode's topic being about a time capsule and how much has changed since then. I mean, it was 10 years later that they actually did a follow-up to this, and then 20 years it's actually been since this got released. So yeah, I empathize with Chase. At this age, I definitely cared about what people thought of me.
I'm sorry, man, I just can't focus. I mean, all I can think about is what Zoe might have said about me on her DVD.
I like how this episode is more from Chase's perspective. Like, you empathize with him a lot and really kind of want to know what's going on with Zoey too, because even though she's the main character, we're more in tune with how Chase is feeling. She's almost like the reclusive, cool character in her own show. Chase complains to Michael and kind of sounds like he's already her boyfriend. Like, these guys barely talk in a flirtatious way, and Chase puts on the expectations that they need to be more communicative toward each other, which is kind of presumptuous because you don't really owe somebody that as a friend. Like, you don't owe them your innermost, deepest secrets. It'd be one thing if they were dating or they said they liked each other and they had a reason to poke at this, but it's kind of Chase wanting to be with Zoey, already assuming they're in a relationship as a part of the chase, and it's kind of a reflection on real life. Like, it's interesting because guys are willing to give attention to a relationship that they don't have quite yet in order to successfully get the girl, as opposed to girls who might wait to commit, like get to know somebody first, like be friends, and then when they're in the relationship have these expectations, worry about communication, go about it in the correct way, I guess. I mean, there's no perfect way to be in a relationship or how people's dynamics work, whether you're more open as a friend or a relationship, and it's a little too deep to get into this, but it's interesting.
I just need to know her feelings.
Just ask her.
The show spends so much time trying to get Zoey instead of them actually being together, which makes this show so much more about the chase, and we obviously follow him so much more. It feels like a slap in the face that they developed their relationship over such a long period of time, and then it just kind of gets thrown away. But I'm not surprised. Zoey is so bad at acting, I would not know how she was feeling about me at all. Like, Chase, you're having it easy with communication here. It's annoying because Zoey's supposed to be the central character, she's supposed to be a positive force, and it shows that the writers think that the main moral of the show has to follow a character that is so friendly you don't really know how deep they can get, and is so giving to other people that they don't give to themselves, and that's kind of what they painted for us in the 2000s that a good person was. They weren't weird like the other characters, they were the central giving character. And I could see how this affected me growing up, because obviously a part of me was like, oh, why am I not enough like Zoey? And it's because Zoey stinks! Zoey is not a normal person with normal quirks, and there's no meaning to the issues she has with other people or her martyr complex. It's just hard to relate. So later, Logan mentions to Chase how worried he should be because Zoey's gonna lock up her feelings with that time capsule and he might never know how she feels.
Tomorrow, that DVD gets buried deep in the ground for the next 20 years.
Which there's no other way, Chase. There's no other way to figure out how she feels but to go into your schoolyard, dig up a time capsule at 2 a.m. with your best friend. Like, you can't just, I don't know, ask. But I like that this does drive his character to do something crazy. Like, this is fun. Lola fake cries to get out of the assignment, which is cruel and manipulative, especially with such a caring teacher.
I just can't. It's all I have left of her.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm
I
so
understand.
sorry.
No, look, you obviously gave the assignment a lot of thought, and that's the important thing.
Really?
Of course.
I do like that acting is essentially her superpower and a character trait. I wish Victorious had that. So since iPhones didn't exist, he couldn't text someone or Zoey or figure this out on his own. So of course it's storming and he's way too curious. We have a quick sequence of him looking into the future and it is not realistic. This looks like a dystopian nightmare. And wait, that's not even Chase playing himself. Oh my god, who is that actor?
Old style DVD detected. Choose display format.
Hologram.
There are so many things I can say about Chase.
It's funny how unrealistic this is, especially 20 years later, because we don't have holograms right now. We don't have a hologram of Zoey from 2004 or whatever talking to us. It's creepy. I love how even in the fantasy, she doesn't give a direct answer. He can't even fantasize about her being a direct person.
Zoey, come back! Chase!
When they dig up the time capsule, it kind of feels like they're burying a dead body. It's kind of like a horror movie. It's good that this takes place at PCA because if these guys had to sneak out of their parents' home and justify that, this would have been a harder episode to pull off.
What else do I have to do at 3 o'clock in the morning?
And so Quinn is still snoring. Even after holding herself upside down, she decides to stick a rare fish in her nose. It kind of reminds me of Drake and Josh when Drake had to put lizard pee on his hands to cure his dermatomaculitis that Megan gave him. I don't know. It's a Dan Schneider thing, I guess, to have a disease that can only be cured by a weird animal.
This is the most disturbing moment of my life.
Chase tries to watch the video about Zoey, but he feels super guilty about it. And when she says he's funny and nice and sounds like she's about to admit she likes him, she sounds like she has the cadence of a depressed librarian giving a lecture to a class.
And now I want to tell you about one of the most special people I've ever met. His name is Chase Matthews, and he's one of the funniest, coolest,
Chase, please just find somebody else. Later, Chase asks Michael for advice because at the time we couldn't take accountability for our own actions. We had to ask our friends and pretend like our decisions were based on what they said.
Is this wrong?
Is what wrong?
For me to watch Zoe's DVD without her permission? Is it wrong?
Does it feel wrong?
Kinda.
Then, you don't need to ask me what you already know.
Meanwhile, turns out the fish thing worked and Quinn doesn't snore anymore.
I didn't snore? No, the guppies worked! The guppies worked! Yeah! Did she say guppies? I heard guppies.
South African guppies. She put them up her nose.
Yeah!
Coco comes in to talk about Leno, and we truly see her funny side at this. Like, we just got introduced to a more friendlier side of her in the first season, and now she's kind of funny. So much more interesting than the stern RA that only gave, like, vague directions from the last season. At the end, Zoey checks in on Chase, flirtatiously ties his shoes together, and it seems like she really likes him.
You know how you asked me what I said about you on my DVD? And I said you'll find out in 20 years? Well, I decided that was a little mean.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
So?
So I'm gonna tell you.
You're gonna tell me?
Yep. In 10 years.
But, like, I don't know, her acting like flirty, ooh, I'm scared, is really bad.
Ooh, I'm scared.
She drives away on her JetX, and Chase runs away with tied shoes, and that is a huge metaphor for their relationship. Zoey will always be zooming miles ahead with her repressed emotions and not having to worry about her feelings, while Chase tries to fight to learn more about this girl. And then they did a follow-up video 10 years later referencing the fact that she said she would give it to him in 10 years. And this video is kind of crazy. It's Chase asking a girl to marry him with a ring and a clam. Don't know if I need to address that. But he calls this poor girl Zoey by accident, and oh my gosh, he's already a bad person.
Zoe. Alyssa.
Unlike Zoey 102, these guys actually still kind of look like their earlier counterparts, which is kind of cool. And the whole skit is like Michael calls Chase to tell him the news that he got Zoey's tape, and after all these years, he has to tell him what she said.
Zoey's video! Oh my god, you got Zoey's video!
I like that we have a little flashback from the episode. It definitely needs to be watched. Kind of cool that I got to see it right before this. Like, it makes it feel like it's official.
Zoey said 10 years. That's 10 years today.
Quit eating my fries.
They make these characters seem so sad, like their lives had not moved on at all in the last couple years, which is kind of a reflection on how 2000s kids can kind of be. Like, we're always nostalgic about the teenage years, and it's kind of making me sad to think that maybe this is kind of us.
Want to know what Zoey said about you? Yes. No, wait. Okay, I'm ready.
Why do you have that?
He even carries a full 8x10 photo of Zoey, which is creepy. Like, it's one thing to even have a wallet picture, but you have, like, a actor's headshot.
All I know for sure is Chase is really special to me. And who knows? Maybe he's even my soulmate!
You said I was your soulmate.
No, I said everyone has a soulmate.
Well, you were
I gotta text Zoey.
This sends Chase's reputation completely overboard, and I have to pretend I didn't see this if I even want to vouch for him for the rest of the series, because this is so cruel, and he is not a good character in this moment. Especially being by the official creator, Dan Schneider, like, this is gonna have to be canon. It ends with Michael asking the girl to take a bath in her house. Of course that happens. And I just wonder why this was filmed, how it was filmed. Did Nickelodeon pay for it? Did they even make revenue off of this? Like, it's on Dan Schneider's official YouTube, so I can't imagine how he would have gotten paid from this, or why this happens, or who gets the credit for this.
Okay, there's a 50-50 chance I'm gonna puke.
I'm just gonna move over here then.
You can't watch this episode and think that things are just like they were back then. Not only is the social media different, the way boys and girls act around each other is different. This entire episode is a metaphor for a piece of time that no longer exists. It's just all around such a trip to watch. But how do you guys feel? How much has changed for you since this came out? Like, maybe you're somebody who didn't really see the differences between then and now, or didn't get super into social media, so a lot of this stuff is preserved. But for me, I can't tell a world where even the fashion choices live up to its date and time.
I bet in 20 years, a bunch of PCA students are looking at your guys' yearbook, laughing at what you guys are wearing right now.
But time is a funny thing, and it's always talked about here on my channel as I focus on 2000s nostalgia. Like, why do we watch this stuff? And as I kind of dig deeper, I kind of want to get into more of the mental gymnastics we go through when we're enjoying these shows, watching these shows, and how we act now because of them. Thank you, Zoey 101, for being the only show to do a concept where we get to directly compare 20 years to the past, present, and the future. I love it. Overall, this is keeping me watching Zoey 101, and I am just happy it's not torture anymore. Let's see if it keeps getting better from here on out. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Johnny 2000, and have a great day.